WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high into the lower 50s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low around 32. Saturday, partial sunshine develops high 50 degrees. Then by Sunday, mostly sunny, a high around 55. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 28.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chu. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chu.
Good Friday morning, progressives, and welcome to the February 13th, 2026 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is the number. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. You can email me at richard@WCPT820.com, and you can follow me on all the socials, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, Substack, and Spoutable. You can catch all of our shows by subscribing to the WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, the great Patty Vasquez driving you home, and Edwin Eisendrath, because it's the democracy, stupid. Out Chicago and our other great shows and interviews all the time, 24/7. Check us out. And make your way over to Heartland Signal. I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown, and then we're going to have some fun, and we're going to get into our guest and all that good stuff. Heartland, make sure you check out Joan's interview with Mark Wolf, former U.S. District Court judge who retired last year in protest of Donald Trump's protest of Donald Trump. It's a great interview as always with Joan. He did it because he couldn't stay silent on the weaponization of the DOJ by Donald Trump. So you'll want to check out that interview. I was able to interview earlier in the week Annie Andrews, who is running to oust four-term U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. I think that she really brings it, and she made some great comments, one of which is wasting a whole Senate seat with Lindsey in that role. So you'll want to check that out. And then Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, doubles down on standing up to Trump's administration and its intimidation after the grand jury refused to indict her over the video that she and Senator Mark Kelly and a few others said you do not have to follow an illegal order. And it was proven that they were right, or certainly not wrong or out of line in their statements that they made. So you can catch all of those over at heartlandsignal.com, which is our wonderful digital platform, our newsroom. And these guys are, they're phenomenal. So make sure you check out their work. It is Friday the 13th, and there you go. So my Friday the 13th thing is, come on, Jason, I dare you. Bring it on, Jason. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the named character in that horror franchise, Friday the 13th. Dev is looking at me like, what? He's got on a shirt. So that's right, man. He's got the mask and everything. So I'm like, bring it on, Jason. I got something for you. I always listen. I'm going to digress for a moment. I always watch the horror movies, and I just think, there's no way I would never get caught. I would be the person. I don't want to use the wrong words. I would be the person that took out. I don't want to use the K word. The bad guy in the horror movies, because I use the good common sense that my mother gave me, which is don't go in the garage without the light on. Devin, why in the heck are you and I going to go down into the basement with a flashlight that's the size of, a marker and nothing, no weapon in our hand? Why are we going to do that, man? Come on.
My favorite part of like every horror movie is there's always a car outside and they always mysteriously seem to drop their keys when looking in those horrible places that you shouldn't have.
Exactly. Or it's the I think about the TV show Magnum P.I., Tom Selleck, and that goes back to 1980. When the dogs are chasing him and he says, don't look at the dogs, don't look at the dogs. Just open the door and get in the car, right? And so when I think about the scene you just talked about, or that sort of scene in horror movies, yeah, just get in the car. Don't be looking around. The other one that cracks me up is when someone is walking through a parking lot late at night after work, Mike Mercado, and they're just lollygagging out of the building, just kind of, sashaying along, and they're on their cell phone, right? Come on. I know this is Hollywood. Listen, don't get me wrong. I've been watching crazy movies for decades, but those are the scenes that just crack me up because they're about to get taken out, and then on those rare occasions that the person doesn't get taken out, and you think, even as the audience, we go, okay, it didn't happen, and then they get in the car, they close the door, and there's that slow turn. The ignition won't quite start. And you go, okay, so what are they going to draw from? Is the car going to explode, or is the person in the back seat, and they're going to still get them? But anyhow, I always say, bring it on, Jason, on Friday the 13th, because I got something for you. I have something for you. All right, guys. Maybe that's my levity in my own little world, my own little private Idaho. But today's guests include our great friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast. Will be with us in the 6:30 hour. And then Michelle Duster will be with us at 7:30. So that means between 7 and 7:30, I want to do a little something different. Not different, but just to kind of involve you guys as much as we can. Black History Month. We're in the middle of February, so we're halfway through this month. And I said I was going to speak to something about Black history, the good, bad, and in the middle, every day, every show. And today, what I'd like to do is kind of get you guys involved in the process. I'd like you to call in, and you guys know the number. The lines are open, 773-763-9278. I'd like you guys to call in, or you could text, and I'll read it on the air, but really love to hear from you in terms of what Black history means to you, irrespective of your cultural community. I'm curious what it means to you, what you've thought about it over the years, and how we as a nation have celebrated what I call American history. I've got some things I'm going to read in terms of some facts that you guys may not have known. Some you may have known, but we'll go through those in the 7 o'clock hour. But I want to get you guys I want to hear what you have to say. I've been talking about what it means to me. We've been playing some clips throughout the course of the last week and this week. But give us a ring and tell us, and maybe even tie that to things that are going on right now and how you see that all of our history is important, and erasing any of our history is a fool's game. So let us know your thoughts. But as you know, this week we had this horrible on Wednesday the hearing, and I didn't want to let things go too far from one of our own from Illinois congressional leaders who had some comments about this Justice Department and had some comments about the person that was sitting across the table. So let's hit them with this. Check this out, progressives.
You talk about fighting crime, but you protect any criminal who helps you and Trump turn our country into an authoritarian gangster state. And after all this, nobody supports you. I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about conservative judges who are condemning the rampant lawlessness at DOJ under your leadership. Your prosecutors are quitting in droves over being forced to prosecute low-level immigration cases, including in Chicagoland. Your MAGA base despises you because you're covering up the Epstein file. How ironic. And even your own boss has repeatedly complained to your staff about you, calling you weak and ineffective. Weak and ineffective. That's what Donald Trump thinks of you already. You will not win, however. Chicagoland rejects you. The American people reject you. Our communities have demonstrated our strength and resilience in the face of cruelty and cowardice. Democrats must impeach and remove lawless officials like you and Kristi Noem and impose accountability for every criminal action. But you can spare yourself more humiliation. Resign now and submit yourself to accountability by the American people.
That was Illinois Congressman who's retiring, Jesus Chuy Garcia. Jesus Chuy Garcia. And I watched it, and I heard it, and we had the clip thanks to our folks here, thanks to Andy, thanks to all the team, and we have others. But that one touched me in a certain way because it's one of us from here in Chicago, and I know people listen to our shows all over the country. But he nailed it. That's the kind of energy and fire. There's so many great points that we can go to or clips, but that one's personal because we here in Chicago were attacked by ICE. The federal government sent in troops, sent in thugs to attack our folk here, and whether it be Broadview, whether it be the southeast side of the city, other communities and neighborhoods, in a lawless fashion. We aren't any safer because of them being here at all. And the spouting on that she had in these feckless Republicans during this hearing about crime numbers being down, those crime numbers being down in those cities that they talked about in those states. What's interesting is those blue cities where the crime is down that they tried to take credit for, Devin, that's because of local law enforcement. That's because of in a Broadway state law enforcement, not because of ICE and all this other garbage that they tried to say it was because of the Trump administration that crime is down in these cities. They didn't even want to talk about crime being down that's been being led by mayors like Mayor Brandon Johnson and mayors of Karen Bass, and the list goes on. They wanted to make it sound like it was their work that got the crime down. It wasn't. It wasn't. So this lawless Justice Department, this DOJ, and this Attorney General, they got to go. And for them to go, we got to do our jobs. We got to lock arms and make it clear, like Representative Garcia said, that she needs to resign. She was a disgusting display, and obviously she was posing for one audience. And maybe others, maybe the GOP at large, they want to see that. And if they do, they all have to go too. So that one was one that touched me in a certain way because it's from someone that's right here from Chicago, someone that many of us may know or have met over the years. And so kudos to Congresswoman Garcia. Let's take a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT. AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is Tara Devlin for the Political Voices Network. This is America, right? We don't do kings here. No crowns, no thrones, no authoritarian cosplay. That's why we created the No Kings American Flag pin. For the low price of $20.26, that's 2026, we're keeping our eye on the prize here. This well-crafted enamel pin is the standard 1-inch American flag lapel pin, but this one features the patriotic No Kings symbol that defines our rallying cry. It's your quiet way of signaling to other patriots that you believe in democracy, and yeah, that still matters. You can grab yours now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. That's store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. The No Kings American Flag pin. Get it now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. How about a couple of Choose Views news items on this February 13th, 2026? January home sales plummet to the lowest level since 2022. Sales of previously owned homes dropped by 8.4% in January, the largest monthly decline in 4 years, according to the National Association of Realtors. While housing affordability improved due to lower mortgage rates and wage gains, supply hasn't kept pace. Potential buyers are still struggling, according to Lawrence Yu, the NAR's chief economist. Winter storms and weaker consumer confidence also slowed the market, which had been on a 4-month uptick, according to the Wall Street Journal. Sales fell in every region month over month, but dropped the most in the West and the South. Jobless claims fell in another sign of a resilient market. The number of Americans filing for unemployment applications dipped slightly last week as a jobs market stabilized following the winter storm. According to figures released by the Department of Labor yesterday, initial claims fell to 227,000 from the revised level of 232 in the prior week, which is slightly above what economists' median forecast had projected. Continuing claims climbed to 1.86 million a week earlier, despite recent high-profile cuts at major firms like Amazon, UPS, Dow. And the employment market, of course, is proving resilient during the tough times with tariffs. Ford workers get a 130% bonus for quality improvements. Ford Motor Company CEO Jim Farley was a bearer of good news on Wednesday, telling employees at a town hall that company-wide bonuses would be set to 130%, according to Reuters. Farley attributed the higher payouts to Ford's initial vehicle quality, which is the best it's been for 10 years, per Reuters. On Tuesday, Ford reported that tariffs dinged the company's profits for the first 3 months, for the months that ended December 31st, meaning the last 3 months of the year, resulting in the market's and the car maker's largest quarterly earnings miss in 4 years. And last but not least, McDonald's U.S. sales are surging amid focus on affordability. Many people visit McDonald's, and they have reported a 6.8% increase in U.S. sales during its fourth quarter, marking the fastest growth in over 2 years, driven by value meals and promotions that it says are resonating with cost-conscious diners. It's a stark contrast to the same period a year ago when the E. coli outbreak depressed some traffic into their stores. Fast food giant is planning a slate of new beverage offerings here in 2026, including energy drinks and coffee concoctions, and a menu option for customers on GLP-1 weight loss drugs. That's a smart way to go. So a couple of quick Choose Views news items on this Friday, the 13th of February, 2026. Yeah, Jason, come on out. Me, Mike, and Devin got something for you, pal. You guys know I'm going to be down in North Carolina on March 1st to co-host with our good friend Anderson Clayton, who's the Democratic Party chair, the Building Bridges Fireside Chat. We'll be joined by North Carolina State Reps Rodney Pierce, Dante Pittman, and also Pastor James Gaillard, who is running for North Carolina Senate. We're going to have an open conversation with voters, and you guys can check that out. It's going to be at the Word Tabernacle Church in Rocky Mountain, North Carolina, Sunday, March 1st from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can register by going to the heartlandsignal.com website and click on my picture. It'll take you to my show page, and you'll find information about the event and a registration link. Or you can simply text us here at 773-763-9278, and we will send you the link. So just a daily reminder to our listeners there and other folks that might want to plug in to that event. There you go. It's Friday, and we always appreciate, when we get through a week. It's been a crazy week. We've seen so many just awful things that I think were really, unfortunately, highlighted and showcased in a bad way at that hearing on Wednesday. And, I want us to to talk about it, to not look away, and not be afraid to acknowledge that was disgusting and awful. It was a horrible display by the Republicans, not by the Democrats, of this situation with the Justice Department and all the rest, and certainly the horrible tragedies that took place with these women who were survivors of this Epstein just horror show. So we'll talk about that. We aren't going to run away from talking about the horrible things that the Republicans are doing, from the White House down to the most disengaged Republican MAGA voter. I know that sounds kind of contradictory, but you get the point that I'm making. All right. So, want to hear from you guys. Make sure that you plug in and give us a holler in the 7 o'clock hour on what Black History Month or Black History has meant to you, irrespective of your culture or community. I'm curious. But I want to just read a few things about, some Black history facts, some things that some of you may know, some of you may not know. And I will be the first to tell you that not every I'm laughing in saying this, and I say it because it's about being humble. Not every Black person that you know knows everything about Black history. Now, people might go, what are you talking about? It's like, that's a reality. We all know what we know, and some things we haven't heard or experienced. And a lot of it is just exposure. So that's why I always say, expose yourself to people that are not like you. Expose yourself to things that are not like you. I go back to what Mike said to us on Monday after the Super Bowl, which has now become sort of a global thought and just visual, is the baby from Bad Bunny's halftime show. Many people didn't even know what that was all about. Some people were anticipating to see or wondering if, but that's about exposing yourself to other stuff. And we all have to, we understand being in our own silos. It's how we are kind of built as human beings. But getting out of our silos is important. Getting out of our neighborhood. Remember how you guys, I've said this to you many times. Take a different route home every now and again. Take a different route to work every now and again. To expose yourself to something different. I wouldn't say expose yourself, but expose your experience to something different. I know, because I stopped on the wrong word, Devin. That's what happened. I stopped on the wrong word. I didn't mean to do that. So I made him blush. I made Devin blush. Expose your experience to something else. There we go. Wow. All right. So here are a few that I just kind of read through for you guys. And these are some 10 interesting Black history facts in terms of trailblazers. And I think you guys will know many of these, but just to kind of give you a quick reminder. The first African-American U.S. Supreme Court justice. Who knows who that is? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's Thurgood Marshall. He was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Was the first African-American U.S. Supreme Court justice in 1967. His tenure came to an end in 1991. First African-American Major League Baseball player. Well, if you can fog up a mirror, you should know who that is. It's Jackie Robinson. He broke the color barrier in Major League Sports when he debuted for the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947 and went on to win the Rookie of the Year award in his first year. First African-American Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Be curious to see what some people think. And if you call in, tell me who you thought it was. But it's Ralph Bunche, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1950. And you'll be shocked at what it was for. It was for mediating in Palestine. How about that? See, once again, Black history is American history, if not global history. First African-American Oscar winner. It wasn't Sidney Poitier. It was Hattie McDaniel, a singer, songwriter, and comedian. Was awarded the Best Supporting Actress in 1940 for her role in the movie. Anybody? Bueller? Gone with the Wind. First African-American woman to earn a medical degree. Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler graduated from the New England Female Medical College in 1864 to become the first African-American woman to earn a medical degree. First African-American astronaut to live on the ISS. International Space Station for an extended mission. His commander, Victor Glover, made history in his long-duration stay. A couple more. First African-American U.S. Senator. Wasn't Barack Obama. Hiram Rebels was elected to the U.S. Senate in February 25th, in fact, in 1870, by a vote of 81 to 15, representing what state? Mississippi. The first African-American woman to win a Pulitzer Prize. Gwendolyn Brooks was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for her poetry collection called Annie Allen. She's also awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award and became the Poet Laureate here in Illinois in 1968. She was a neighborhood gal. One of my good friends, and I'm going to try to have a clip from him if he says it's cool. Tony Wilkins lived in the same neighborhood and would see her in the mornings on his way to school. That's how funny, just the irony of your neighborhood sometimes. And the first African-American Secretary of State, Colin Powell, the late Colin Powell, served from 2001 to 2005. And last but not least, the first African-American woman elected to the U.S. Congress. And I've mentioned her name before, representing the state of New York. And I talked to one of her folks that followed in her footsteps, and that would be none other than Ms. Shirley Chisholm, who was elected in 1968, representing the state of New York. And she's known for her fight, and one of her phrases that's lasted and stayed with me for years, and that is, if you're not invited to sit at the table, pull up a chair. There are no more seats there. Find a folding chair. She was such a powerful leader and someone that we all can learn a lot from. So there you go, guys. A few trailblazers, some of which you may have already known, some of which you may not have known, or had a different person in mind. But I'll send you the list if you'd like to have in your library of new knowledge. But I just wanted to take a moment and highlight some of those great leaders. And again, in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be taking some of your calls to try to find out who may have been, or who is an influential Black history person in your life, irrespective of community and culture. I'd love to find out who that might be. We're going to take a quick break right now. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and when we come back, we'll be with our great friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast.
WCPT Replay.
This is exactly where we are. This is how we got here, because Joe Biden would not play that game. And, Obama did not play that game. We certainly didn't give them the clown show that Trump does. This is why I keep trying to tell people, it's not the show. Mm-hmm. Don't take the rage bait. Don't be part of the show. This is how he got elected again. These people want him in there because he makes them money. He gives them fame. Everybody's paying attention right now. They didn't pay attention when Biden was in office, and he was getting so much done. But they didn't pay attention because it wasn't a clown show. There wasn't the opportunity for them to, cover him and put on a little show of standing up to him for a second and then become famous and write a book.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high into the lower 50s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low around 32. Saturday, partial sunshine develops high 50 degrees. Then by Sunday, mostly sunny, high around 55. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 28.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us. 773-763-9278 is the number. So, we are fortunate to have really cool people that hang out with us, smart folks that are committed and that dive into the problem. And one of those is our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, as always.
Absolutely. So I'll just start right off and ask you this question. Even though you were here last week, I didn't ask you the question because I wanted to wait until this week to do this. So tell the listeners, tell us what's your Black History moment or your Black History thing, or in terms of what it may mean to you. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but what's that? How does that get embraced by you?
So, of course, the obvious would be, Barack Obama, President Obama, and Michelle Obama, the entire family. I'll never forget that night. I couldn't believe it. I mean, we were jumping up and down, and despite the fact that he had massive opposition from the Republican Party, he was still able to get a lot of wonderful things done. He restored respect to this country. He represented us and was respected on the world stage. And I think he restored a lot of trust in the United States, because we all like to talk about, this kind of starting with Trump. It didn't start with Trump. George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and Donald Rumsfeld did a lot to hurt the trust globally of the United States and the credibility of us. So I feel like, for me personally, if we're talking about public figures, it would be President Obama. On a personal level, and I think that if we can nominate an entire city, for the Nobel Peace Prize, I think that I can also say that, as far as I'm concerned, the influence, people that have had influence in me and my life, I'm going to nominate every single Black woman in this country that shows us the way. And I'm going to say personally, Byford Wheeler. She is a woman. Harriet Robinet is another woman. She's a children's author, and she's a local, and she's a very dear friend of my family. She passed in the last year. Byford just turned, oh my goodness, is she 90 now? And I would say that the strong Black women in my life that were mothers to me, Mrs. Gary, who would come and babysit for us before, we would go to school, so that my mom could go and earn a degree in nursing. So those are the strong women in my life personally that affected me and actually helped form who I am today. And so that's for me. And of course, I'm getting a little weepy here. Yeah.
That's all right. We got you.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing too, Karen, that is so powerful about that. We all have those persons in our lives, and we all, and yes, in many cases, it's a Black person that is just a regular everyday person that decided to step up and help somebody that was in need. And I like to juxtapose that against the pictures that media and Hollywood and many other factions try to present, is the visual that every Black person you see is somebody that you should feel threatened by, and that they're a bad person, and so forth and so on. We know the memes, we know the stereotypes, but that everyday Black woman or Black man that gets up and goes to work just like any other American is part of our history, and it's a strong part of our history. And it's great to know people that are not Black that can slow down their universe long enough and say, here's how a person the Black person specifically has impacted my life in a way that I'll always remember.
I mean, and that's not even, the countless numbers of musicians and artists, and that I have listened to that are a part of the soundtrack of my life, Yeah. That list is just so long, but yeah. So when you say that, Black history is American history, it absolutely is. And we have got to do more to make it so that it is a regular part of our curriculum, not just 1 month, but all year.
One of our listeners sent me a text just this morning that said that, Richard, I'm a person that grew up in a predominantly white community and got the white story for most of my life. And he says that, I'm assuming this is a man, this person says that, to your point, I just wish that it wasn't something that we had to single out as a monthly thing. And many people have said that. I mean, my comment to that is that it's American history, so it should be something that we embrace every day.
Absolutely.
And this is why I said this, what I said earlier about history. Let's not get rid of history in any capacity because it affects all of us. I mean, we were joking around about movies and stuff, and much of what we see in our cinema and our television and our art, it's a combination of all of our experiences, all of our communities, our Irish community, our Italian brothers and sisters, our German brothers and sisters, and of course our African brothers and sisters, and our Asian, and the list goes on. And part of the reason that we are in this stuck on stupid moment in this country is that we have forgotten, and in many cases they're trying to make us, force us to forget, that Rodney King was right. Can't we all just get along? Can we just take that off, that weight off? I mean, listen, y'all, it's hard as hell for all of us to carry around racism, sexism, and bias. That's a weight that we should just unload and allow ourselves to be able to move forward. But there's people who benefit from that division and that need to keep us separate. So we know know where it's coming from, and that's why we have the responsibility to fight back against it, whether it be, quote, Black History Month or any other time of the year. So
it's about dividing and conquering, and part of the way that they're able to do that is because when you do not teach history, then people are not informed by history.
Yeah.
And people then don't do everything in their power not to repeat the history.
Well, Karen, go ahead. I'm sorry. To repeat the history. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just so that's it, and that's what it is. I mean, they count on people falling for the okie doke, because, I mean, and look, what we're seeing right now, people are losing their jobs because of AI. They've told us all along that brown people were the threat to our jobs, right? Yep. They've told us that has been the ongoing theme, that it's look over there so you don't look at what we're doing to pick your pockets and to enrich ourselves and our friends. And so it's the oldest playbook, but yet there's a number, there's a percentage of people because of racism that continue to vote for Republicans. And I mean, Donald Trump, let's be clear, he wasn't dropped from outer space. He was actually, he is the product of the Republican Party and what the assault on America and everyday Americans that they have been perpetrating. He is the very embodiment. The Republican Party is an old, farting grandpa, racist grandpa who, falls asleep in public, says the most embarrassing things. I mean, that's the Republican Party. If you can put the Republican Party in human form, it's Donald Trump. And that's the way we need to start looking at the entire party, because they do not have they all are liars. When you look at what happened with Pam Bondi and these Republicans carrying the water for this criminal, she's a criminal. He's a criminal. They're all criminals.
The hardest, not the hardest part, but the most revealing part about this hearing, as much as, she completely made a what of herself. I don't care what anybody wants to say. She made a what of herself, and you can fill in the blanks of what the what definition is. But it was a Republican's complicit behavior that was just, it was actually in some ways more nauseating to watch when she would be when it was a Republican's turn to ask her a question on point, on spot. She would ask them for some of their time. She did it every single time, and they just sort of like rolled over and let the beast rub their belly. And that to me was as probably as disgusting as her behavior. It was to see what we already know. And when people have gotten after me and said, "Well, why do you say the Republicans?" Because of that display of complicity, they just went along.
Absolutely,
that part was so. It was just. It's disgusting.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Can I have 20?
All of the people...
Wait, Karen. Excuse me. Can I have 20 seconds of your time, please? I was like, oh gosh, you guys. Then they all just ate it up. Like, well, sure, Attorney General.
She's a liar. She's a propagandist, and she actually is part of the reason that Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to abuse hundreds of more women and girls after she gave him a sweetheart deal. She's the reason that Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted and sentenced to 40 years, is in a cushy country club prison. So for all of the people that, say, well, I'm not a racist, but we got to do something about those pedophiles and, this is who you guys elected. You elected the pedophiles and the pedophile protectors. Jim Jordan, it is laughable that he's the one that is on the oversight committee when he himself covered up a sex scandal where young men were raped.
Yep.
And sexually molested.
And he's the head of the Judiciary Committee investigating justice and law enforcement.
Right.
This is
the Republican Party, folks. This is as good as it gets. Way less than mediocre white men. But my God, when Democrats put forward, a exponentially more qualified woman and a black woman, and America rejects. I mean, there are these panels. Anita was we were talking about it. She was saying that she watched this episode. I can't remember what it's like a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Anyway, but they did this survey. They did what do you call it? Like they had a focus group.
Okay.
And they had all of these independent voters, and they were Trump voters, and they are furious with Trump. They would, not have voted for him again. But when asked if they would vote for Kamala Harris, they would not. They wouldn't. And so the best that we can hope for with some of these people is that they don't vote. And that the people, and that we get as many people as we possibly can that haven't been paying attention, and get everybody and have them get their family members. Because a lot of times when people don't engage and when people don't vote, they come from families or they run in circles where other people that don't pay attention and don't vote. So if we can appeal to those people, I don't want to fall into this thing where it's all rigged and, the midterms, we may not be able to do anything in the midterms. I refuse to fall for that.
No.
We have got to be working from now until the midterms to make sure that all of those people that we know that did not vote don't engage or pay attention. We need to educate them. We need to get them out registered and out to vote. And we need to tell them, get everybody in your family and friend group registered and out to vote for Democrats. That's how we take this back.
We're going to take a quick break. Karen, you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic, plus get a $300 instant gift. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Race to savings at Menards and start updating your home today. We offer an excellent in-stock selection of home appliances that are ready to take home today, including Criterion refrigerators, freezers, dishwashers, and laundry appliances. They're built to help make your life simple. No matter how busy life gets, Criterion appliances are ready when you are. Plus, view our weekly flyer on Menards.com and race to savings on Criterion appliances.
Save big money at Menards.
Used
still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. We're hanging out with our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast, a.k.a. Karen from Chicago. Karen, so it looks like, I don't know if you saw this news conference with Governor Walz, Tim Walz. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, ICE is apparently now, leaving Minneapolis. And, some of the people that were interviewed said they'll believe it when they see it.
Yeah.
But what I thought was really kind of cool is during the press conference, Governor Walz said to ICE broadly and specifically Tom Homan, he was like, whatever we can do to help. If you need rides to the airport, if you need somebody, we'll get Ubers for you. We'll pick you up and take you. He said, hell, we'll even come to your hotels and help you pack your luggage and get you there. I thought that's his great sarcasm, but points well made from Governor Walz. And so I just wanted to get your take on. Obviously, Minneapolis suffered tragedies that, none of us should have to have seen, or none of the families should have to have endured, but we did, and we did as a country. And Minneapolis has held strong. We don't know where ICE is going to go next, and hopefully not any place. And maybe this defunding of DHS will be part of the way forward. But what are your thoughts, Karen, about Minneapolis, about ICE basically leaving Minnesota?
Well, I think what it says, it should say, we talk about history informing. What this should inform everybody, because I don't think that they're going to stop, but I do think that the funding is definitely going to curtail, which is exactly what we want. And let's be clear, none of that would have happened had it not been for all of the brave men and women who got off their couches, walked outside with their whistles, and put their bodies in the way to protect their friends and neighbors and family. This is how we do it. People, we cannot cave, we cannot fall into despair. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we make it so our representation can get up there and stand up and fight for us. We're the ones that are giving them the fuel to fight. And so that's why it is so important. And it's gained steam. If you've been paying attention to it and you notice it, LA fought, and that gave the strength to the people and the impetus in Portland for those people to fight. And then we fought here in Chicago in a different way. They had the Portland Frog. And then the next thing you know, you've got a bunch of people out protesting, in their fun costumes. And, we feed off of one another and we give one another strength. And so the next place that they go, Minneapolis has taught all of us. So if they come back to Chicago, it's going to inform how we fight again here in Chicago. And I think they are going to other places, but I don't think that they're going to be met with any more friendly receptions.
No. And I think that what's happened, what I think is potentially going to happen is that the people who are in cities where they decide to show up are going to be more prepared. And prepared is maybe not the best word, but they're going to be more maybe aware of what they're able to do. And you said, and the point I'm trying to make here is you said people got off the couch. And yeah, people did. People got up. They said, I don't know how I'm going to fight, but I'm not going to stay on the couch. I'm going to do something. Yeah. And I think that's what I felt, what I was worried that would happen is that people would be afraid to come out, afraid to get involved, afraid to protest, afraid to march after Renee Good was murdered. I thought people were going to be like, you know what, they're just going to, that could happen to me. And I'm sure people had that. And so the courage isn't the courage is when you push through the fear and when the fear is there. And I think a lot of people realize that they had to do that and peacefully protest. And I think that going into other cities, folks are ready to make the point.
Yes.
They're ready for ICE to come. And unfortunately, that's a statement we make. But I'd rather people be ready from having watched LA and Portland and here in Chicago, so that if they do come to your city, that you are ready and that the local law enforcement recognizes what they can do to assist. And what's interesting, Karen, and this is, I want to get your take on this. I think I know where you stand, but I still want to get your take on this. It's interesting that if you think about the hearing the other day, they talked about how the cities, these sanctuary places, they didn't have the guts to name the cities. You notice that they didn't say Los Angeles's crime is down or Chicago's crime is down, because they knew that they would have to they would be lying to say that the reason that the crime is down in those cities is because of us being there. They knew that they couldn't say that the federal involvement in federal law enforcement has driven crime down in those cities. So they use sanctuary as a way of skirting around using the cities, because they knew they'd be lying if they were to say it that way, because they know that local law enforcement has really been at the tip of the spear in any of the cities where crime has gone down. Baltimore, another example. So what are your thoughts about ICE going forward and people being ready and taking the examples from what we've seen happen so far?
There are trainings going on all over the place. Indivisible is doing trainings. There are local groups that are doing trainings. So the resistance is going to keep up. So what ICE should know is that we're not going to take this lying down. As far as the crime going down in sanctuary cities, our legislators, our mayors have been talking about the statistics all along. It's not, that is just red meat. That is for their knuckle-dragging, Kool-Aid drinking cult members.
I'm sorry.
That's what that is for. The fact that they sit up there and lie saying that ICE affected a change and an improvement in crime rates is absolute nonsense. What they did is create chaos and terror and fear. But what they also created was the resistance. And the resistance isn't going to go away. So if I was ICE, I would say, maybe we just need to, lay low for a little while, because we're not going to stop. It's not going to stop. And, my sister said something, we talk about history informing us. I think about the Dutch resistance, the women, the young women who, when the Nazis rolled in to the Netherlands, they were the ones that were luring some of these Nazis and these people that were collaborators with the Nazis, and they were taking care of business.
Yeah.
And my sister was talking about, it's like I don't want the monsters to turn me into a monster. And I said, here's the thing. I go, I don't think that Nazi slayers are monsters. History doesn't treat Nazi slayers as monsters.
No.
And so, they should also be informed with the fact that when you have a population that is woke, and that's actually the meaning of woke. All you knuckle-dragging, Kool-Aid drinking cult members out there, that's actually what woke means. It's staying aware and ready to fight injustices everywhere. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to continue to do. And again, if not for the resistance out in the streets in these sanctuary cities and all of the places that hurt Donnie's fifis, if not for that, our legislators, I don't believe, would be fighting in the ways that they're fighting for us.
Yeah, and that's the reason that the resistance is so important, or part of the reason that resistance is so important. And thanks for the little bit of a history lesson. I won't say I'd forgotten, but it wasn't top of mind about the Dutch resistance. Yeah, they were some stone cold.
The French resistance was strong. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Well, that leads us to the end of this segment. Like always, we get through some stuff and we talk about what we feel we got to talk about in the moment. And I appreciate you always for bringing your spiciness to the conversation. So, Karen,
I always appreciate you allowing me to come and degrade your show in ways that, all these amazing people on, and then I just come in and wrap it up.
Nah, that's part of it's everybody. Like, what do I say? All players means all players. So
yeah, that's right.
You're one of the players. So Karen Byrne, y'all, from TruBlu Politics Podcast, also known as Karen from Chicago. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning on Choose Views.
And happy Valentine's Day to everybody if you celebrate. And, to you and Ann, happy Valentine's Day. You guys are all my Valentines.
Gotcha.
Love you all.
Have a great weekend.
Right. Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to a break here. Devin, 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. Hey, Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Choose Views weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central. We're all anxious for the 2026 midterm election to arrive so we can restore some sanity and much-needed oversight to our government. In fact, it's the most important midterm election in American history, and Choose Views will be in the thick of it, bringing you candidate interviews on a regular basis. I'll be talking to Democratic Party hopefuls running for House and Senate at the federal and state level, as well as candidates for governor and other state and local offices.
I am in love with our ability to fight for our rights, to fight for our future, to fight for our freedoms, to fight as our ancestors fought. It's just our moment. This is just our time to stand up and to speak up. We can't give up on this.
If you miss any of the interviews live, you'll be able to find them all on WCPT's Candidate Interviews page at heartlandsignal.com/candidates. That's Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high into the lower 50s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low around 32. Saturday, partial sunshine develops, high 50 degrees. Then by Sunday, mostly sunny, high around 55. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 28.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Continued stalemate between Republican and Democratic lawmakers over immigration enforcement reforms could soon have consequences for the Department of Homeland Security. More from Tammy Trujillo.
A brief partial government shutdown ended 2 weeks ago when Congress agreed to fund most of the government for the year, except for DHS, which they gave a 2-week extension. Since then, both sides have failed to reach an agreement over the future of immigration and customs enforcement, the agency at the center of controversy in cities like Minneapolis, where 2 people were shot and killed by agents. Democrats want to see roaming patrols cut, a ban on masked ICE agents, and warrants issued before agents enter private property. Unless an agreement is reached, another partial shutdown starts on Saturday.
The sheriff of Pima County, Arizona, denies reports he's blocking the FBI's access to key evidence in the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie. Wendy Swanson with more.
The claim was made in a Reuters report citing a law enforcement official with knowledge of the case, who said the FBI has asked for physical evidence, including a glove and DNA from the woman's Tucson area home, to be tested at its National Crime Lab. The report said Sheriff Chris Nanos was insisting on submitting the evidence to a private lab in Florida, but Nanos told KOLD News 13 in Tucson that the plan was to submit all evidence to the same lab in Florida.
At the Pentagon, Secretary Pete Hegseth's attempts to punish Senator Mark Kelly are being blocked by a federal judge. More from Matt Mattinson.
The Arizona Democrat has been a target of Hegseth since releasing a video urging U.S. service members to refuse illegal orders. A federal judge ruled Thursday that Hegseth's actions were unlawful. In his 29-page ruling, the judge said, quote, Senator Kelly was reprimanded for exercising his First Amendment right to speak on matters of public concern.
Before the opening bell, stock futures are slipping. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Stephanie Kifowit is not your usual controller candidate. She's a Marine veteran and a current Illinois state representative with years of experience fighting waste, fraud, and abuse in Illinois government. Illinois needs a Democratic controller ready on day one to protect taxpayer dollars, stand up to Donald Trump, and get results.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Kifowit, and I'm running for Illinois State Controller.
Paid for by Kifowit for Controller.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, with more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties, classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us, and thanks to our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast for hanging out with us. Check out her Substack as well. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls for the first half of the show, and then talking to David Orr, former Cook County clerk and Chicago alderman and founder of Good Government Illinois. Excuse me. Also, Maya Dukmasova, I should say, of Injustice Watch. She reports on judges, prisons, and courts, and Chicago Alderman Timmy Knudsen of the 43rd Ward. Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT AM, as well as heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest host Soli Santos, and their guests include Tim Walco, comedian and musician and actor. He'll be here for the entire 6 o'clock hour. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 Central Time, of course, on WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And then on Monday, my guests are going to include an interview that I did with former Xbox chief officer at Microsoft and author of The Blockchain Syndicate, a contemporary thriller. That will be Robbie Bach. And then we'll be talking again with Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, who we had on the show yesterday, and we wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the things that are happening with immigration law, specifically immigrants and their contribution to the economy. So Kate will be with us on Monday, President's Day. And then Mike Nellis, Democratic strategist and host of Endless Urgency with Mike Nellis, will be hanging out with us next week. Also, our lineup includes Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss, Illinois Congresswoman Lauren Underwood, legal journalist Adam Classfield, Anisha Stephen, who is a former senior policy advisor at the Department of Treasury, retired Army General Russell Honore, content creator Rachel Hawk, Sky Perryman of Democracy Forward, and candidates Chris Swanson, Annabelle Mendoza, Kevin Ryan, and our show regulars like Mike Nellis and Karen Byrne. So there you go. And of course, we can't forget our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Also tomorrow on it's the Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath. He'll be talking with Mike Nellis and legal analyst Jill Wine-Banks and David Roberts of Volt's newsletter and podcast, which focuses on technology, politics, and policy decarbonization. So that you'll want to plug into it's the Democracy Stupid Saturdays 1 to 4 here on WCPT. And that's, of course, Central Time. So there you go, guys. Lots happening on our shows. Earlier, I said if you have a Black History moment or your own Black History thoughts and comments, to give us a holler and let us know what you're thinking. Let me see. I had a couple. Let's go back a couple of text messages and see what we got here. I'm always reading about the history of our country. It's fascinating to read about the many important Black people who affected the direction of the U.S. One of my favorite books is by Sojourner Truth. What an amazing and brave woman. Absolutely. And thanks for that, Lois. We appreciate you bringing that to our attention again. Just so many great stories, so many great books and things to read. And that's why I've been highlighting a few of them this morning. A couple others that I'll talk about. And, this is, again, why we want to make sure that we don't forget history, that we keep history ever present. It's an ongoing thing. History is kind of a moving. Here's an example. Karen talked about Barack Obama and his historic run and election to be a 2-term president. That's history while we're here. And I think that sometimes we, and it's just natural. We all do it. We go back. But we have to do both. We have to go back, way back in many cases. But we also have to look at some of the current things that are impacting us and the people that are impacting us when it comes to our lived experience. Some other names that you guys hear a lot about, but you really may not always know what they really did. And I'll give you some quick examples. Some of the big names, I'll say big names because they're so often the ones that we turn to when it comes to specifically Black history. Harriet Tubman. How many people really know what she did? And a lot of people didn't know until the movie Harriet came out. But she was an abolitionist who led enslaved people to freedom via what's known as the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad, fascinating. If you just Google Underground Railroad, what you'll see is a lot of work that was done. And this is why I talk about the collective, the importance of our collective history, and that Black history is American history on so many fronts. But the Underground Railroad, it took a lot of people to make that happen. And of course, most of them were Africans who were enslaved that were being pulled out of enslavement. But based on the destinations of where many of the folks ended up, those were areas that were populated by white abolitionists that were lending a hand to what they felt was a scourge in our country at that time. So when I talk about history oftentimes, and specifically Black history, and I merge the reality that it's American history, it's because those were white Americans that were participating in the process to free and to help free people who were enslaved. So it is all of our history, and that's why I'm encouraged to speak about the balance of how we work together, and we do much better when we do work together. But there's just an example with Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. We all know about Rosa Parks. Many people only know about her, though, from the Montgomery boycott, from her refusing to give up her seat on the bus. But do you know the history beyond or prior to that, and her educational background and her work in the Montgomery boycott prior to the actual bus incident, that's where you really want to dig in and learn more about Rosa Parks. And it wasn't just that, one day she woke up and said, I'm going to sit at the back of the bus today, or I'm not going to sit at the back of the bus today, and I'm not going to give my seat up. There's so much more to what she's done. And I think that's really what you want to treat yourself to, and look at who some of her allies were at the time and how those lives were changed because of her prior to just, getting the whole situation about the seat and not giving up her seat on the bus. And there, in the movie Barbershop, there's a scene where the character that Cedric the Entertainer plays talks about, Rosa Parks was a badass before the bus incident, and she was. And he makes a joke about it in the movie, but that's the truth. So you want to know more about those, more than just the moments that are highlighted. Dr. King's speeches weren't just the I Have a Dream speech. That's the one that is the most, I'll say most known because it's the one that's most popularized because of the March on Washington. But do you know the history behind that speech in and of itself and what its origins were? And did you know that Mahalia Jackson was, he wasn't really scheduled to speak and wasn't prepared to speak, but Mahalia Jackson was telling him, Martin, tell him about this, tell him about the dream, and know that history. It's more than just the speech. It's the history behind what got them to that point. And the reason I'm breaking these down is because a lot of times it's so easy for us with anything that happens in our country to just look at the moment that it happened and not look at what's behind it. And I think that's the part of history that is as important as the event that happened. How did we get to this point? What went on behind the scenes that got us to a point where we would talk, where we would have that moment? And I would say on a larger scale, that's something that we as a community of Americans need to do. We need to look at how did we get to where we are? What took place? Or some may say, what didn't take place? What didn't happen? Who didn't act? Who didn't step up? And those are the moments where you go, okay, there's more to it than just what I saw or heard. And maybe I need to do a little bit more research and checking in and digging into this. And maybe there'll be more things that I'll learn from digging in a little bit deeper. So when I talk about Black history and I talk about American history and I talk about all of our history, let's look at more than just the moments that get highlighted. Let's look at what got us to a point where there was a moment. And now that moment is something that we revel in, or that we say is the thing that we remember the most. Dig in a little bit, y'all. Look a little bit past that surface. We're going to talk about a few more when we come back. We'll take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
The Democratic Party of DuPage County is hosting a gala event on Sunday, February 22nd. Make your plans to attend this very special event at Drury Lane in Oak Brook Terrace. The program begins at 5:30 p.m. The keynote speaker will be David Hogg, who survived the Parkland school shooting in 2018 and co-founded March for Our Lives to advocate for gun safety laws nationwide. Hogg was also the first Gen Z vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. Other invited speakers include Governor J.B. Pritzker and the candidates for U.S. Senate. The DuPage Dems Gala funds efforts to defeat extremists in DuPage County and fight back against Donald Trump. Get your ticket now. It's the Democratic Party of DuPage County Gala, Sunday, February 22nd at Drury Lane in Oak Brook Terrace. Buy your tickets now before it sells out. For tickets, visit DuPageDemocrats.com.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
He's not here to yell. He's here to inform and maybe stir the pot. This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. I knew I knew somebody was gonna have some fun when I mentioned the reference to the movie Barbershop and Cedric the Entertainer's scene where he's talking about Rosa Parks. And yes, somebody already sent me a screenshot of that scene. But the point I was making earlier, and I'm going to continue, on this path is it's more than just the moment. It's what got us to the moment. And I say that all the time about where we are. How did we, Karen said it earlier, so I got to give her props. Donald Trump didn't just get dropped here from Mars. Some people think that he did. I don't know if she said Mars, maybe she said from outer space. But be that as it may, we didn't just get to these things that we're dealing with right now. And I'm not saying this to sound critical, but to help inspire us to do better and do more right now. What do I mean? What we saw on Wednesday, that disgusting display from Pam Bondi and the GOP members of Congress, that's been a period of time of us not paying enough attention. Nobody get upset about this. Take this as an opportunity for us to build and to grow. We got to that point because we allowed ourselves to say that everything was all right, and it's not been all right. It's not. Our so many categories, our educational system, our healthcare system, our financial system, safety in general, on and on. This is the moment. See, I guess I look at this with as much inspiration and empowerment as I can. As ticked off as I am right now about all that's happening, I'm also inspired by what I know that if we decide that we're going to shut them down, that we will shut them down. Even in the face of what right now is them having control of the powers that be, the levers of power, if you will, in terms of our federal government. I believe in my heart, I am not just saying this, I believe in my heart that we collectively, if we decide to come together, we're going to shut them down. We're going to bring them to a screeching halt. And it's not going to be easy, but I'll tell you this, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. It means us saying, wait a minute, we got here because we kind of, we were asleep. And in some ways, there's that privilege of being an American, that we kind of get to go along and just enjoy our lives and all that other American stuff. That's a reality. We can't lie to ourselves and say that's not true. We all embrace a little bit of privilege. We all embrace a little bit of comfort, as we should. Now, at this point, what we want to be able to do is have more Bad Bunny moments. And for us to have more Bad Bunny moments from the halftime show, we've got to acknowledge that we've been a little bit asleep. Now, we kind of let some stuff slide. We didn't call out that guy who said something that was disgusting about a woman or about somebody of a different ethnicity. We didn't call it out, and we should have. In the moment, in the middle of a party that everybody was having a good time, and somebody slipped up and said something they shouldn't. We didn't call it out. And then everybody else thought, well, I guess it's okay. We didn't have like HGTV just did with the woman who was doing some work on her show, and she slipped and said the N-word. And I'll say slip, but she said the N-word. Done. Fired her, Devin. Canceled her show. Disconnected from her in its entirety. That's how we should be rolling. We haven't been rolling like that as a society, as a community, as a country. We haven't rolled like that. And to deny or to say that, well, we haven't. That kind of clear with the machete, they cut her, they're done. That's how we have to be. And until she fixes herself and doesn't run around on a pity party parade, and I'm not racist. We don't care about you not being racist. We care about what you said and did in the moment. I could give a damn if she says she's racist or not. What she said is unacceptable. And they needed to shut it down. We have to have the same courage right now, if we believe in this thing, to be able to say, no, that's not right. And not be worried. This is where I'm going to help everybody out here. At least I'm going to try. That's where it's tough for people, because we as human beings worry about what we're going to lose if we don't say something that we need to say. That crosses all communities, all cultures, all economic stratum. All of us are impacted by it. If we don't say the thing that needs to be said in the moment. If we do say it, I should say, what are we going to lose? Friends, family, access, all those things. I say, let's put a different spin on it. What am I going to gain by saying the thing that I need to say in this moment? Whether it be about race, whether it be about culture, whether it be about gender, whether it be about care, all of those things. We don't. And I if I sound a little preachy this morning about this in the conversation around history, Black history, American history, I don't mean to be preachy. I mean to say, listen, the other side of this horror that we're seeing right now is us being able to move forward and do it collectively. And some people are going to get left at the train station because they're not ready. We want people on the train and the bus that are ready to fight. And to go back to something that Karen said a moment ago, we want people that when ICE shows up in your neighborhood, in your city, that you're ready to get off the couch and come out and say, no, not on my watch. So I'm a strong believer in identifying what the doggone problem is and then saying, okay, how are we going to fix this? Yesterday, Westmoreland and John Marmon, who was on with us, were both talking about the, you see the problem and you determine that there's a problem. Now let's fix it. So these civil rights leaders, these Black history people, all were faced with a similar thing, and that is, if we step out and say something, we might lose not just our access or our privilege or our safety, we could lose our lives. And many of them did, unfortunately. I want to read a few more of the names, and then we'll take a break, and then we've got a history person that we're going to bring in. We maybe grab a call or two. Let's see. All right, a couple more quick names in terms of civil rights and activism. Frederick Douglass, well, abolitionist, orator, writer, you all have heard about and know about his name. We're going to have on the great-granddaughter of this next person, Ida B. Wells. Michelle Duster will be with us in the 7:30 hour. Malcolm X, more than just about the speeches, but his historical work that he did to get to that point of being that speaker and that leader. John Lewis. Many folks didn't know who John Lewis was until recent, and now we've got the John Lewis Voting Rights Act that should have been passed. George Washington Carver, agriculture and cultural scientist. More than just the peanut. Maya Angelou, poet, renowned poet. Langston Hughes, another voice, key figure in the Harlem Renaissance. And Katherine Johnson. Why is that name important to so many people that study math and science? The movie Hidden Figures. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. These are stories, and it's not just about as I said, the moment. It's about their history, their ascent to get to the point where they were a name that people recognized, maybe for a singular thing that they did, but we have to still put attention and value on the history, the steps that they took to get to the point where it was more than just getting up from a seat to give a seat to a white man. It was about what got Rosa Parks to that point. And I think that when we do that, we see a lot of connective tissue between our communities. We see that the abolitionists recognized that what was happening, not just in the South, but in many places in the country, to Black folks at the time that were enslaved, was a human fault, and the country could not stand behind it any longer. So, all right, let's see. Yeah, maybe not. We'll sit tight. Let's grab a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
The Kane County Dems are proud to host the annual Truman Dinner on Sunday, March 8th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Q Center in St. Charles. Keynote speaker will be Jason Crow, who has served as the United States Representative for Colorado's 6th Congressional District since 2019. In November of 2025, Crow was one of 6 people, all Democratic lawmakers, to be part of a video telling service members they can refuse illegal orders. As we look forward to the 2026 midterms, there is no better voice to help us fire up the grassroots and keep Illinois moving forward. Invited speakers will be Christian Mitchell, Lauren Underwood, Dick Durbin, Bill Foster, Tammy Duckworth, and Raja Krishnamurthy. Order your tickets today. Tickets sell out fast. The Kane County Dems will see you at the Q Center at 1405 North 5th Street in St. Charles on March 8th. Buy tickets at canedems.org.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high into the lower 50s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low around 32. Saturday, partial sunshine develops high 50 degrees. Then by Sunday, mostly sunny, a high around 55. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 27.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
From the headlines to the heart of the city, Richard Chew breaks it all down. You're back on Chew's Views.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Let's see if we can squeeze in a quick call roll. Carrie, from where?
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Carrie.
I wanted to call because you triggered something when you said if we all come together, we can defeat what's going on in America, meaning Donald Trump. When you said that, I have been thinking about this for a long time after the election. This is to the GOP, MAGA, and everybody who voted for this man. Everyone who always feels that they're so patriotic and with their patriotism, now is the time.
Yeah.
We're under attack.
Yep.
ICE has got $100 billion infrastructure underneath them. We're losing health care. So when the vote rolls around, this man really shouldn't even win a vote out of 50 states. We know that's not possible, but the reality is this. What side of history will you want to stand on if you call yourself a patriot? Because if you stand on his side, you call yourself a fascist. If you stand on the opposite side, you're calling yourself standing up for democracy. So that's the unity we need.
Yeah.
He shouldn't win a state. He shouldn't win not one state out of the 50.
You know, Carrie, and thank you for your contribution, your call this morning. One of the things that I've been saying, and many others have been saying, I'm not the only one, is that it is it's shocking, but it's not shocking how many people are coming to say that's not what I voted for. Well, in fact, it is what they voted for, whether it was accidental or intentional. It is what you voted for because there was too much information in front of people for people to review and to read and to understand, for them to not have known what they were voting for, or to let incidental means be the reason that they say that's how they voted. And so I agree with you. There shouldn't be. But when we look at our underbelly in this country, we know that a part of it's driven, as I've said for the most of last year after the election, racism, sexism, Christian nationalism, and privilege. And so that's at the core of this is the reason that we are here, Carrie. But I remain optimistic about, because I look at history and I look at folks that, you know, our next guest, Michelle Duster, can talk about because of her family's history, that participated in helping fix the problem that didn't look like the people that are at the tip of the spear right now in terms of receiving all this hell. And that's black folks and other people of color. And candidly, our rural white folks who are catching it on so many different levels. So, Carrie, that's why I said it's going to take a collective effort. But the first thing that we have to do is identify that there's the problem. And then we can get into the fight about how we're going to fix it. But if they want to splinter us for obvious reasons, because you could look at history, Carrie, and go back to any of the leaders that I've been talking about that are gone. Malcolm tried to bring people together. Dr. King did. Bobby Kennedy Sr. did. JFK did. The list is endless of when people were brought together, the leaders of that movement. Fred Hampton, they took him out because they knew that the power rested with people. So that's why I said what I said earlier, and I appreciate your call this morning, Carrie. Still with us? Did he leave us? No. Okay. All right. Well, Carrie, I hope you have a good, safe Valentine's weekend, and thanks for your call and your contribution this morning. All right. With no further ado, we have been fortunate to have who I will call a historian at this point. And this is why we say much of our history is lived. It's real. It's real time. It's not something that is just, 50, 75, 100 years ago. It's right now. And with us this morning is our good friend and my cousin, author, historian, educator, Michelle Duster. Good morning, Michelle, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing fantastic. I love the background and you're on the screen right now because that's got me excited about the weather gradually, incrementally getting better in Chicago. One of the coolest things about being here, you know this as well as I do. We go through this 4 months of, which coat am I going to wear? Which pair of boots am I going to put on? Do I need a scarf as well today? And it's always encouraging when we know and we start to see 45 degrees is the high for the day, and then it's 48 degrees, and next thing you know, it's 52 degrees, and we may have a backslide back into the 30s, but it's always encouraging as Chicago starts to get towards spring. I think like no other city in the country, we celebrate springtime probably as good as anybody does, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. And, sometimes we have 3 seasons in one day in Chicago. So I think we're some of the most resilient people and flexible people in the country because it can go from 70 degrees to 17 degrees in one day.
Yes, it can. And it with that, Michelle, it brings with it all of the great. So anyhow, it's good to see you again. Happy 2026. I'm so glad you can hang out with us a little bit this morning. I know that we had a chance to chat a couple weeks ago. But you've dropped another article that is just fat. Okay, so what you guys may not remember is Michelle writes for Rebellious Magazine. And as much as I wanted to talk with her about a few other items, which we'll probably get to, she just dropped a new article that you guys got to make your way over to Rebellious and check out. And the title of the article is this, and then I'll let her dive into it. It's called "What Happens When a Leader Can't Build His Own Legacy and Co-ops from Real Heroes." Michelle, man, that's deep. That's like, I saw the article and I was like, okay, Michelle's been in her science lab again, cooking up some more things that make our brains just hurt. But Michelle, talk about the article, the title, and what's inside this great article, which I've read, and guys, you just got to check it out. Michelle.
Thank you. For those who are bothering to watch the news and try to keep up with things that are changing on every seemingly second of the day, the person who 77 million people voted for to be president has, destroyed the East Wing of the White House, has destroyed the Rose Garden at the White House, has destroyed several other things, and in the midst of it, Black History Month, it wiped out Martin Luther King's birthday for the National Park Service to recognize as a free holiday, a holiday that's free for people to enter the national parks, and several other things that are just really a show of great disdain for us as a people, and also the Kennedy legacy, just figuring out ways to make the Lincoln Center for Performing Arts not functional, And it all seems very deliberate and targeted toward the legacy of people who stood for pretty much the opposite of what this person stands for. And so it just comes across to me as a form of jealousy on his part. And if you can't, make yourself bigger to become as beloved as Kennedy and King in particular, and then of Obama and others that he seems to be very much targeting, then it's like, well, I'll just destroy these people and destroy their memory. And my point was that you can destroy everything material or tangible, but you can't destroy the memory. You can't destroy the legacy. And all you're doing is making yourself look jealous and petty.
Yeah. And this is what a lot of people have said to that end, Michelle, is that, yeah, there's that jealousy that's there, and you can see it in so many things that this president does when it comes to people that have actually done things that have been better for society than he has. I mean, I've asked people I remember this during his first term. People would say to me, but yeah, Chew, look at what he's doing over here. I had a guy actually literally say to me at my health club, this was right after the inauguration in 2017. I got to the check-in area, and this guy I've known at my club for a while. I mean, when I say I've known, I've seen him. I didn't know who he was. I just would, I would be cordial and say hi on the way into the gym or at the gym. And I was walking in this particular morning with a client of mine, and this guy was behind us in line. He taps me on the shoulder. He said, "Hey, dude, Trump's going to fix all your neighborhoods." And I said, "Well, what do you mean he's going to fix all of our neighborhoods?" And he said, "Well, all the black neighborhoods that are crumbling." This is literally what he said to me. And I had to be respectful to my client at the moment, who was also African American, because I was like, I don't want to say what I want to say because I'm about to have a little bite to eat with my client. But at the same time, I had to look at this guy and how am I going to respond? My response was, our neighborhoods aren't crumbling. I said, name me one thing that your guy is done that's been beneficial to society. And he looked at me, he's like, yeah, but and we just walked away. So my point of that, to go back to that moment, is Donald Trump has not done anything selflessly that benefits the society that we all are a part of. He's not. Nothing that and you being the historian in the room know better than most. If you can't name something that he's done, and you do more research than most people, that's been good to the benefit of society, not political gain, not economic gain, not any of those areas that ultimately have some sort of dollar sign tied to them. There's nothing that he's done. And so when you look at other folk that have, that's why Donald gets such this begging for a Nobel Peace Prize, because he can't get there like many others have. Social issues, he can't get there. So let's tear down the Kennedy Center, because he doesn't know anything about real, artistic value for all of us. So you guys have got to check out the article. It's really good. It starts off, when I was growing up, many neighborhoods, institutions, and homes of my friends proudly displayed, and that's a key word, proudly displayed pictures of President John F. Kennedy and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesus.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you probably saw the same thing.
Yeah.
People had the pictures of these three men in their homes, and I would see them in barbershops and, beauty shops and different institutions. And my point of the article is, you can't bully people into honoring you. People decide to honor somebody because they actually respect and admire them, even if it's in private spaces. And so you can't bully people into, deciding to create a statue of you or create a performing arts center after you, or to create anything, scholarships and monuments and everything else. You can't bully people into doing that for you. And so you have somebody who's deciding, well, I'm going to honor myself, I guess, because he doesn't think anybody else will honor him. And at the same time, tear down the tributes to other people that people genuinely admire, because those people gave them a sense of hope, gave them a sense of it belonging, worked on behalf of bettering the communities that they were part of. And so what I did in my article was I also mentioned the multiple tributes that my great-grandmother, Ida B. Wells, has received way after she's passed away. And it's always striking to me how many people express their great admiration and and how much she inspires them, and they want to do something to honor her. It is them who is deciding that she should be honored. It's not her deciding on her own that I'm going to force somebody to honor me. That's just a really big difference. And when you have groups of people, communities, organizations that collectively decide, we love this person, we want to honor them. And that is what an honor really is, when other people decide, but I guess this other person decided nobody's going to honor me, so I guess I'll honor myself at the expense of destroying other people's honors. And that just says so much to me about the type of person he is. And my personal opinion is that's very sad. That, there's a feeling somehow internally, I'm guessing, that the only way that, I can elevate myself is to destroy other people. And it kind of reminds me, I have this vision in my head of somebody who's building a beautiful sandcastle on a beach. I mean, it's just, you've seen some of these really super elaborate ones where it's like they probably went to architecture school or something.
Right.
Three-dimensional, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And somebody decides, well, I can't make something like that. So then they run over and they kick it.
Yep.
And just destroy the whole thing because they can't make it themselves. And so it's toddler-like behavior, and that's what we're dealing with.
Without a doubt, Michelle. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Interested in debt-free education? It's one benefit of apprenticeship with Plumbers Local 130 UA of the greater Chicagoland area. These days, high school seniors need to rethink going to a four-year college and creating debt with no plan in sight. Students and their parents need to think about learning a trade that pays you to learn and create a career. Being part of Plumbers Local Union 130 UA achieves those goals. As an apprentice, you receive great wages, great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription drug, vision, and hearing. No college debt, 2 pensions, and access to union wellness centers and eye care with 0 deductibles and 0 copays. Admission to the Plumbing Apprenticeship Program ends February 13th or with the first 2,000 submissions. Applicants have to be 18 years old and have a high school diploma or a GED certificate. See the full list of requirements and qualifications and apply for your future now at apply.jac130.org.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, thanks for being with us. Thanks for hanging out. I have the luxury and the privilege to have a true historian, a real-time historian with us today, and that is author and historian Michelle Duster, who is a writer and contributor and has these great articles that she puts on and writes for Rebellious Magazine, which you guys should check out. Make sure you get over there and see what Michelle is doing. Before we broke, Michelle, you were talking about, specifically Donald Trump in terms of his desire to prop himself up by tearing down others. And that's kind of the epitome of someone that is basically sad inside. And I'm not, listen, I don't think you are, and I know that I'm not trying to give him any favor when it comes to this and give him any passes or whatnot. But just simply stating that the dude is a sad dude. And all the wealth in the world that one can have, wealth for many lifetimes, he still has to do destructive things to make himself relevant, and still has to have people around him that will do destructive things to make him relevant. I mean, when you have an attorney general, Michelle, that has to yell to say that the president is the greatest president and done the greatest things for this country, and speak in a way in which Pam Bondi did at that hearing the other day, because that was all about trying to sell America on this feckless, fault-filled dude in the White House. That's really what it was. It was an audience of one. There were many other people, obviously, that saw it. But that's what that was all about. It was to prop him up, or to prop up and say how great he is. Stand on your own greatness. We didn't need Merrick Garland or Eric Holder to prop up Biden and Obama, and Janet Reno. Was it Janet Reno that was Clinton's attorney general? Do I have that right, guys? Yeah, it was Janet Reno. They didn't have to go and prop up what Bill Clinton did. And frankly, even Bush's AG didn't have to go and prop him up. But Donald Trump is feckless, and he's weak inside, and his weakness and his sadness is now part of this country that we live in. What are your thoughts?
Well, I did not watch the hearing with Pam Bondi. That's the problem right now, is that there's so many things happening all at the same time. It's really hard to keep track of everything. And I think that is intentional to exhaust us. But I mean, from the principle standpoint, for some, this also, to me, a very obvious sign of insecurity on somebody's part to surround themselves with yes people who never push back on anything. Anything you say is like, yes, that's a great idea. You're the greatest. You're this, and that doesn't make for a good, robust kind of leadership, because you need people who can keep you in the realm of reality, and to help, sort of see multiple sides of issues and bring up different things to consider. And so that's a recipe for disaster for any leader, to be surrounded by people who never question you, who always tell you you're great, you're wonderful, you're the smartest, you're the best, because then you're going to be led to a ditch. And nobody's going to tell you that you're coming into a ditch, because they're afraid of you, or they feel you're holding something over their head, or whatever the case may be. And I think that is well documented, that if you never have anybody telling you anything different than what you already want them to think, then nobody's going to tell you that you're running into a ditch. Then nobody's going to tell you that, something is dangerous. So I just think that as a country, we are in danger, because there's a nobody based in reality who is in his orbit. Yeah, that's exactly what is the fear, is that there's nobody there to tell them that you're driving the train off the cliff. And that's precisely what's happening. And people along the way are being hurt and losing their lives, whether it not just be the killing of Renee Good or Alex Pretty, but losing their lives because of, and others, but because of the way in which the resources in our country have been dismantled, and access to resources have been dismantled. That's causing harm real time. And it's not, the train doesn't have to go off the cliff for that harm to be
in the laps of people right now. Michelle, it kind of leads me to a question I knew I wanted to ask you, and it goes back in part to an article that you wrote back last August, and it's titled, Ida B. Wells has much to teach us about speaking up and fighting back. So the people that are around this president are not fighting back. They're not speaking up. I mean, we have to believe, based on the evidence and the results, that they're not. But you were speaking more broadly about everyday folks speaking up and fighting back. And I would say that you do that with every single one of your articles, is that you're giving people a pathway to say it's okay to speak up, it's okay to fight back. And here's something that you should read to understand that others that have come before you have done it. And so I love the way in which you articulate that in your articles, because as much as it's identifying what a problem was or is, it's also giving people a pathway to fighting back. What are your thoughts now about how people, have to fight back, need to find themselves and find their way? What would you're talking to a room of 100 people and they ask you that question, Michelle Duster, what should I be doing right now? What should I be taking from your great-grandmother as a way of speaking up and fighting back?
Well, the main thing I think right now is that it's very obvious that the current administration is very focused on enriching themselves and has surrounded themselves with other people in the private sector who are doing everything they can to make as much money as possible. There's just an enormous amount of exploitation and extraction that I personally feel is happening. And so my main thing, I think, is for all of us to figure out ways to become sand in the gears of this capitalist driven society, and however that can happen. But one way is to, extract our financial support, for some of these organizations that are using their power to exploit us or create situations that are causing harm, like, these detention centers that are being built or trying to be built all over the country. Well, who owns them? Who is contributing to them? And if there are ways that as individuals we can just say, no, we're not going to support this financially. So that's one thing I think is huge, because it's very obvious to me that money is everything, profit over people. And so the people can make it so they don't make profit. And also, we can organize, people can organize on a micro level and a macro level. I mean, even something as I like to use the word small, but mighty, but maybe targeted, of just like doing something in your own neighborhood, creating small food banks, creating situations where people can do clothing exchanges, or things like that, so that we can become less dependent on this power structure that is exploitative. And so in any way that people can sort of become more independent of this structure, I think would be helpful and sort of a radical idea.
Yeah, the radical, using the word radical is because of obviously not being the norm, but it's so spot on, Michelle, about taking action is oftentimes, it's something that, might be perceived as a small thing because it doesn't have, 10,000 people there. However, those 3 or 4 people in a community, in a neighborhood, making it so that someone else in that community or that neighborhood is sustained, in and of itself is a pushback to the power structure, and to remove ourselves as much as we can from the dependence on the power structure, the dependence on how capitalism has driven us down this path. those are profound statements, and we forget about that sometimes. And your great grandmother was a proponent of the boycotts, and you've been one to speak to that as well. So I appreciate you reminding us of that. So that's always just good knowledge, Michelle. Tell everybody, please, how they can find you and follow you, because I want to drive as many people to the work that you do as possible, Michelle.
Well, thank you. On most social media, I'm not on everything, but on most social media, which is pretty much, what am I on? Instagram and X and Facebook and LinkedIn. You can find me at either at Michelle Duster or at MLG Writes, WRITES. And that's also my website is mldwrites.com.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for somebody to speak at an event, someone that can bring some historical information and knowledge and talk about current issues all rolled into one, Michelle Duster is the place to be. So thanks for hanging out with us today on this Friday the 13th. I don't know if you heard me earlier. I told Jason, you know who Jason is from the horror movies. Come on, bring it on. I got something for you. Michelle, thanks so much for your time and for hanging out with us and for educating us on things that we need to know about and things that we can do to take action. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me, Richard.
All right. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Well, guys, listen, we did it again. We made it through yet another week, and we brought you some stuff and some people and some topics, but we can't do it without the great team here, Devin, Henry, Mike, all the rest. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for being with us. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And as I say always, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you next week.
Hey, it's the Paulacious One. I'm up on the transmitter trying to power us up so you can hear us on 820. But if you can't hear us on the radio, you can also hear us on heartlandsignal.com, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn Radio app, and SoundCloud.com/WCPT820. It's the Sports Cubicle, 9 p.m. on Sundays on WCPT. Whoa!
The Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey guys, this is Tara Devlin for the Political Voices Network. This is America, right? We don't do kings here. No crowns, no thrones, no authoritarian cosplay. That's why we created the No Kings American Flag pin. For the low price of $20.26, that's 2026, we're keeping our eye on the prize here. This well-crafted enamel pin is the standard 1-inch American flag lapel pin, but this one features the patriotic No Kings symbol that defines our rallying cry. It's your quiet way of signaling to other patriots that you believe in democracy, and yeah, that still matters. You can grab yours now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. That's store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. The No Kings American Flag pin. Get it now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com.
From posters and presentations to labels and loyalty cards, Staples has all the print to boost your brand. Shop now, in-store, and online. Staples. That was easy.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. A shutdown for the Department of Homeland Security at the end of today appears almost certain. Lawmakers in the House and Senate are set to leave Washington for a 10-day break, and negotiations with the White House have stalled. Democrats are demanding new restrictions on President Trump's immigration enforcement campaign. President Trump is heading to Fort Bragg in North Carolina today to celebrate members of the special forces who stormed into Venezuela earlier this year and captured the country's leader, Nicolás Maduro, to face U.S. smuggling charges. First Lady Melania Trump will also be making the trip to Fort Bragg to spend time with military families. A federal judge temporarily blocked the Pentagon from punishing Democrat Senator Mark Kelly over his call for troops to resist unlawful orders.
The retired Navy pilot was among 6 Democrats in a video urging troops to uphold the Constitution. Kelly sued after Defense Chief Pete Hegseth censured him in the first step toward a possible demotion in rank from captain. A judge has ruled Pentagon officials violated Kelly's free speech rights and also threatened the constitutional liberties of military retirees. Earlier this week, a grand jury refused the Trump administration's push to indict the lawmakers. Kelly said yesterday that's not a feel-good news story, but rather simply blunting another attempt at authoritarianism.
Folks, this is the master alarm flashing for our democracy.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Investigators in Arizona want residents near Nancy Guthrie's home to share surveillance camera footage of suspicious cars or people they may have noticed in the month before she disappeared. The mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie has been missing for almost 2 weeks. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. Brock Nelson scored a pair of goals and 10 skaters found the score sheet as the U.S. men's hockey team opened at the Winter Olympics in Italy with a 5-1 win over Latvia. American Chloe Kim fell short in her bid to become the first Olympic snowboarder to win 3 consecutive gold medals. In golf, Ryo Hisatune held a one-shot lead after an opening 62 at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. College football, a Mississippi judge granted Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss a preliminary injunction that gives him another year of eligibility. San Antonio's De'Aaron Fox is replacing injured Milwaukee forward Giannis Antetokounmpo in the NBA All-Star Game, and former 6-time MLB All-Star and 1960 World Series champion pitcher Roy Face died at age 97.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high into the lower 50s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low around 32. Saturday, partial sunshine develops high 50 degrees. Then by Sunday, mostly sunny, high around 55. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 28.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Todd, 51, owns a business with sales of $1.1 million. His accountant meets with him after the year is over to prepare last year's business and personal tax returns. Todd suspected he was paying too much and came to Brookfield Tax Planning for a free second opinion review. He almost fell over when they revealed that he was overpaying $20,000 each year in needless income taxes. Brookfield Tax Planning not only legally saves Todd big money in taxes, but they now handle his accounting and prepare his tax returns as well. Business owners can pay far less in taxes, but only if you plan now in 2026. Are you 100% sure your accountant has you paying the lowest amount? Get a free second opinion and your tax returns done now. Call Brookfield Tax Planning at 708-485-3439 or visit brookfieldtaxplanning.com for your free tax reduction review. That's brookfieldtaxplanning.com for tax planning and tax returns.
Where are they now with Art and Bobby, Saturdays at 10 a.m.
I got a question for Jorianne about Patty. Are we getting the Honey Bears back someday?
Wait a minute, Patty, you guys are supposed to have your own show, Patty.
Oh.
Whether it's a podcast or whatever it is.
That's a good idea. Now you've got me going.
I got goosebumps all over my whole body. My whole body is full of goosebumps.
What would the Honey Bear podcast be called?
I got it. Honey Pants.
Where are they now? Two guys that grew up in Chicago, just like Richie Z.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.